let's get to creating your annual budget. The first thing I want to say is that there's a lot on this screen, a lot of columns, a lot of rows, so it probably looks pretty small in the video that you're currently looking at. I definitely recommend maximizing the video. There should be a little button down in the bottom right-hand corner usually where you can maximize the video, kind of make it full screen so that you can follow along in much greater detail. I'm also going to assume that you've already downloaded this file. There's actually a link below the video if you have not, so you can definitely go down to that link, pause this, go down to the link, open up the file, download it, and you can pull it up here. It's actually an Excel file, so if you have Excel, great, you can follow right along. If you do not have Excel, you can purchase it for as little as about $6.99 a month. But if you're looking to cut expenses, that's probably not something that you want to do. You can actually also open this file in what's called Google Drive, and there's a link below the video for that as well that links to a template that you can download there. Pull it up in Google Drive. It's going to look very similar to this, just a little bit different, but you can easily follow along with that as well. So I highly recommend that if you do not have Excel and want to go for a free version. So if you remember, your annual budget is going to help you with a couple different things. First, it's going to help you plan for those larger, less frequent expenses that kind of seem to derail your finances when they happen every year. So it's the annual expenses for your kid's summer camp. It's the car insurance premium that you pay every 6 months. It's the water bill that comes periodically. These things in the past may have derailed your finances, caused you to dip into your emergency fund or to utilize your credit card and maybe not be able to pay it off right away that next month because you had this big expense and you didn't have enough income to pay for it. So that's the big thing that this annual budget is going to help you accomplish, and we'll get into a little bit more detail on that as we go along here. It's also going to help motivate you. So if you jumped right into creating a monthly budget right now, you might see that, man, I've only got $200 left over at the end of the month to save for something specific or to utilize to pay extra on my debt. But if you took that $200 and you actually spread it out over a 12-month time period, it's going to look much greater. It's going to be a bigger number, more motivating number. So that's another plus of using this annual budget first. And then finally, it's going to be your guide when creating your monthly budget. Because if you start planning better for those less frequent expenses, you might have to start saving for them a couple months in advance. So you want to pull up that annual budget then to say, oh, actually, I need to start saving for this specific thing this month, even though it's not due for 3 months from now. And having that guide and plugging those numbers into that monthly budget at that point is definitely the thing that you want to do. So since I don't have your actual numbers in front of me, I'm actually going to use a sample budget that I created for this specific purpose. You'll find a PDF link below the video. Yep, another link. So there's a PDF link down there for the example that I'm going to use. I'm just calling them the Smith family, and there's 2 adults and 2 children under 18 in the house, so their expenses are based off of that. So I'm going to use that example as we go along. So definitely download that, pull it up on your computer, print it out if you'd like, and then you can kind of follow along. You can see where I'm really going to be getting these numbers from. So the first thing I want to show you actually has nothing to do with the budget, but it actually has something to do with Excel. And that is the first thing here, we want to look at what time frame we're looking at. So I've got this time frame in here. I'm actually going to change it for this purpose only, but you can see here we've got the date range, and then we've got also the months over here. I'm going to change the date range to, I'm going to change it to 1/2016 to 12/2016. I'm just going to look at kind of a true 12-month time period here. So I've got that date range in there, but then I'm going to go here. Now I need to change this month. And the first month I'm going to look at is January. And a nice little tip here for Excel, and we're going to use it in a lot of the other pieces that we're going to talk about today. As you can see here, as we go down to the corner here after we type in January, this little plus sign appears. You click on that click and hold, and then you drag that all the way across, and then bam, it just fills in all those other months. So, figure that out because we're going to use it again in a lot of other things. It'll make things much simpler for you as you go along here. So the first thing you want to do when creating your annual budget is add in your income. So for our example here, we've got the Smith family, 2 adults. They both work. The first person that works has a paycheck. They get paid every 2 weeks. They get paid $1,345.50 every 2 weeks. So they're going to get paid twice per month no matter what. And you can go in then and say, all right, well, let's multiply that by 2, and that's $26.91 per month at a minimum that they're going to get. Again, use that little tip. Grab, go down here to this plus sign, hold the mouse there, drag over, and then you've got that filled in. Now, the thing with individuals that receive 2 paychecks, and if you receive 2 paychecks, if you receive a paycheck every 2 weeks, you can probably remember a couple months throughout the year where you get 3 paychecks instead of 2. The dates just kind of align perfectly, and there are some months where you get those 3 paychecks. So let's just assume that they're going to get 3 paychecks. It's going to happen twice per year in most cases, and it usually happens around every 6 months. And let's just say for this individual, she gets those. They get those in March. And 3 paychecks would be $4,036.50. And then, another 6 months from now would be September. Again, you're going to get another $40,36.50. And this is very important to add these extra paychecks in there, because you'll find later on that those might be the months where you start saving a little bit more for some of those bigger, less frequent expenses. And we'll definitely see that again later on as we get into making some adjustments to this annual budget. Let's say the second adult has a paycheck, and they're paid on the 1st and 15th of every month. So they get 2 paychecks per month no matter what. There's no 3 paycheck months for them, but each paycheck is $1,258.75. Multiply that by 2, and we get $2,517.50. Use the little tip, grab the corner, pull it all the way over, and you're done. Now, if you had any part-time jobs, certainly enter in some income here. If you have kind of a fluctuating income, I usually tell people to put in the worst-case scenario, and kind of anything above and beyond that is just kind of a bonus, so to speak, if you do make more than that. But kind of put in a worst-case scenario, especially if you make like overtime, or if you're on commission, anything like that, use that worst-case scenario number. And then you also want to think of other types of income that you have coming in. So it could be things like tax refunds, bonuses you get from work, rental income, whatever it may be, add in that additional income. So for the Smith family, we're going to assume that they get a tax refund every March, and it's about $1,100 every year. So we're just going to add that in there. It's just another source of income for them to work through this annual budget. So now we've got all the income in for the Smiths, and we're going to move on to step 2, where you're going to be adding in the fixed expenses. So these are your monthly bills that have a certain amount due. It's usually due on some certain amount per month. It's going to be, again, a lot of those fixed expenses, utilities. It's going to be debt payments, the mortgage, the rent, whatever it may be. These are going to be your fixed monthly bills. So let's start through for the Smith family. We're going to say their mortgage is $874.65 per month. And we'll just drag that across. Next thing for them on their list would be an HOA, a housing association fee, and theirs is $34 a month. Pull that across. Next thing we got for them is a security system. It's going to be down here in this services section, and that's going to be $29.99. Then we're going to go to electricity. Their bill is $143.50 a month. And you can see as I'm going along, there's a lot of main categories here like housing, and then in that housing category are some subcategories that definitely fit in that housing category. Now we're in the utilities section, but there's plenty of sections as you go along down through the spreadsheet here. But the next expense for them, the next fixed monthly bill, is going to be their internet, TV, and phone, and that's going to be $177.35. Drag that across. Next is going to be the cell phone. Their cell phone's $184.59. Drag that across. And finally have some streaming stuff, Netflix, Hulu, etc. And that is $20.98 a month. Drag that across. And that does it for the utilities. But now they also have a life insurance premium that they pay monthly. That's going to be under the health section here, life insurance. And that life insurance is $134 a month. Add that in. Next up, we have, finally, for those monthly bills, is before and after school care. So they have to pay to someone, to someone to watch their kids before and after school. And I'm going to put that here into the child care section. And you can see that that is $235 a month. But there are 2 months throughout the year that they do not have to pay it, and that is going to be July and August. So I'm just going to drag it across for simplification reasons, but then I'm going to go to July and August here and just delete those 2 payments that they're not going to have to make. So that kind of does it for the monthly bills, the traditional monthly bills, but you got to remember too that now you have to add in your debt payments. So let's go to the second page of that PDF for them, and you'll see that the car payments, the first debt that they have, you go up here to the transportation section, see car payment number 1. Their car payment is $267 per month. Take that, drag it across. Their next debt payment is a credit union Visa. And you can see the debt payment section here is all the way at the bottom of the spreadsheet. But the debt payments here, you also see it says minimum amount. I want you to put in the minimum payment that's absolutely due here so that we can try to maximize what's available for savings or debt here at the end. So let's just assume they have a Visa card, and you can actually go in and edit these if you want to. So you can put in, if you wanted to put in specifically credit union Visa, you can certainly do that. But let's say that for that, their minimum payment per month is $97. Put in that 97, drag it across, there we go. American Express for them is $215 a month. Minimum payment, drag that across. And then we've got a big box store card. So let's just put that number in there. And you can see that that's $25 a month. But you'll also see in parentheses there they're on a special deferred interest for 18 months, and they have a $1,500 balance. And this is something you may need to do is kind of recalculate your minimum payment on your debt, so to speak, because it's a deferred interest, which means if you don't pay it off within that 18-month time period, they'll hit you with back interest for all those 18 months that you've already been paying on. So you definitely don't want to find yourself in that position, and you'll see that if you paid that minimum $25 a month right there, you wouldn't have it paid off in that 18-month time period. So I want you to just go back and figure out, what do I need to pay on a monthly basis to make sure that it's paid off in 18 months. So you could just take that $1,500 and divide by 18. I think it comes out to like $83 and some odd cents, but I'm just going to round it up to 85 to make it more simple. So I kind of recalculated my minimum payment to make sure I have that paid off in the allotted time for that 0%. So if you have to do that for some things, definitely go back and do so. And then finally, we have a student loan for them. Their student loan is $254 per month. And enter in that $254, just drag it right across, and now we've got it in there. All right, now we're going to move on to the monthly variable expenses. So these are going to be your discretionary type things. They may need to be adjusted later after you start entering in some numbers here. I highly recommend doing a personal income statement and kind of reviewing your previous purchases to kind of figure out what it is that you normally spend in these kinds of categories. But I'm going to assume you've already done that. And now we're going to, again, for step 3 here, just add in some of those monthly variable expenses. Again, these are the discretionary things, like food, that type of stuff. And in some cases, you might want to use some estimates here. There's no need to get very specific. There's no need to be like, okay, in November, I'm going to have Thanksgiving at my house and I need to buy like 3 turkeys, so my grocery bill is going to be bigger. You don't necessarily need to be very specific with that right now. You'll definitely get a little bit more specific with the monthly budgeting later on. So no need to get real specific here unless there's something that's going to be completely crazy in terms of the numbers. All right, so for the Smith family, we're going to go to the monthly expenses here, and we're going to go to food first. We're going to say their groceries they want to budget $600 per month. 600, drag it across. Next is dining out. That's 200. Enter in that 200, drag it across. And then next would be gasoline for them. That is $150 a month. Enter it in, drag it across. Then we've got clothing. And it's just going to assume it's split kind of 50-50 through adults and kids. So $50 and $50. 50, drag it across. Another 50, drag it across. Next up for them is medical. So that's going to be co-pays, prescriptions, etc. per month. And we're just going to actually just put it into one category for now. You can definitely break it up and be more specific if you'd like. But I'm just going to put in the $75 a month there. Next, we've got pet food. There's a whole pet section down here. Food and supplies. For them, it's $35 a month. Next, we've got charity. It's going to be in the personal section. They have $100 a month. Enter that in, drag it across. Then we've got kids allowance, so they give their kids an allowance. That is $40 a month. Drag that across. Then we have after school activities, so sports, dance, all kinds of stuff. It's $100 a month. Then we've got fun money. We're going to call that cash for them, just kind of free-flowing spending for each of them. And let's say that's $160 a month, so it's technically $80 a piece. So $80 each. Oops. Go. And then finally, we have entertainment at $50 a month. All right. So that takes care of the monthly expenses, the variable stuff, the discretionary stuff. And the next step, step number 4, is going to be to add in those periodic expenses that I said that this is really going to help out with. So these are, again, are going to be those expenses that do not occur monthly. Car insurance, gifts, kids' activities. And what we're going to do here first is we're going to find out what this couple's periodic expenses are. You're going to want to know what yours are, obviously. And we're just going to enter in the full amount in the month that it's going to be due. We may need to make some adjustments later on, but for now, let's just enter in the spreadsheet here when they're due and needed. So let's just go through their list here. They've got water. It's $150, and it's due every 3 months. And I say that it's due, again, it's due next in February. So that's $150, and then it's going to be due in May, $150, and it's going to be due in August, $150, and then finally it'll be due again in November, another $150. So we enter that in. That's when that stuff's due. We got it in there. Next is going to be car insurance. It's going to be under transportation here. Car insurance, their first payment of $665 is due. A payment of $665 is due every 6 months. Next time it's due is May. Got $665 there, and then it's going to be due again in November, $665. Next up, periodic expense would be car maintenance repairs. It says they get a $40 oil change every 2 months for each car, and it kind of alternates every month. So we would go in here, so we just know for sure that it's going to be at least $40 a month for the oil changes for the cars. Then we've got vacation. Vacation is going to be down here under recreation. And it is they kind of go on a $2,000 vacation, $2,000 trip every August. So let's enter in that $2,000 there. Then we've got glasses and contacts. That's going to be under the health section. So scroll up to the health section. Other medical is what I would put it under, glasses, contacts, etc. And they have a $500 expense usually every October. So we'll add that in. And we've got a vet visit. So if you have pets, you know about those. Vet visit, an expected vet visit, is going to happen every April for them. And that fee is usually $200. So we'll enter that in there. Then we've got haircuts. It's going to be under personal. And then personal care is where I would add that in, haircuts, etc. And we're going to say $50 every month for the 2 kids combined and 1 adult. And then $75 every 6 weeks for another adult. It's kind of hard to figure out, but you can kind of do a revolving balance with that as well. If you did an average, it'd be about $87.50 per month. But you may need to say, well, maybe it's $100 a month, and then it, again, just kind of rolls over from month to month. If you don't spend the full $100 in January, the remaining balance would roll over to February, which also has $100 budgeted, and it might help you pay for some of those bigger expenses as well if you don't go to, if you don't go to the hairstylist exactly once every month. Then we have gifts, $1,200 per year. We're just going to assume that they want to save $100 a month for that right now. If if it's approaching the holiday season when you're doing this and you haven't saved anything for the holidays for gifts, you might need to, go to December or November, whenever the holiday is, enter in a bigger number there of what you're going to spend, and to be able to see if you can actually do that or save for it in time to have the cash available to spend for that. And we're also going to say they have a subscription, something like Amazon Prime, and it's $99 every August. So we'll add in that $99 there. And then finally, we've got Summer Sports Camp. And I'm actually going to make another category here. And this is, again, a nice little feature here. You can just change whatever you want. We're going to say they don't have any school supplies, but we can add in Summer Sports Camp. And that is, as you see, $1,000 for each kid in the month of July. So that's going to be $2,000 total. And we'll go here to July and add in the $2,000. Okay, so now we've got those periodic expenses in there. Next thing you would do in step 5 is to incorporate your goals. So if you had other goals that you were saving for things, so the vacation may not be that periodic expense right now. It might be a goal of yours to go on a $2,000 vacation next August. So you might then go back in and look at your goals list, pull in some of those goals, and enter them in based on your, the priority, things that need to be accomplished first. And because if you realize then after you start entering in all your goals that you don't have enough income to save for them, then you definitely want to make sure that you're doing the most appropriate goals for your needs. So again, if you had goals, if you have your goals handy, definitely go back and start saving for some of those things that maybe you need to save for. Okay, now we've got everything entered in for the Smith family, and you should have everything entered in for your budget then as well. Now comes the part where you need to make adjustments, because if you didn't, if you just kind of didn't have this annual budget and just kind of went along and did all these different things, there are going to be some months where you're going to find that, hey, I don't have enough income to be able to do the thing that I want to do and pay for it in full in that month. And again, that gets to the dipping into the emergency fund piece and taking on debt, that roller coaster that you definitely want to jump off of. So you've got all that income in, got all those expenses, all the way down at the bottom then of this spreadsheet, there is this section that says extra available for savings or debt. All it's doing is taking the total income, subtracting out the total expenses for that month, and then giving you the difference. So you'll see here that over a 12-month time period, this family would have about $5,000 available to save for other things or to pay down on debt, and that's a pretty good number. But you can then also see that, wow, there's a couple months where you're going to have to overspend by a considerable amount, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to, either, let's say January, February, March, you didn't make any adjustments, and you see in March that you get this $3,000. You're like, oh, this is great. I can take that $3,000 payment, put it on my credit card, and not have to worry about anything. But what you'll find out is, yeah, you made that big payment on that credit card at that point, but if you didn't plan ahead for some of these, I'd say, kind of bumps in the road along the way here, you're going to have to just put all this back on that credit card again. That's that roller coaster that you want to jump off. So let's take what we have available and maybe, move some of this negative number into that month and start saving for some things so that it's more of a smoother ride when it comes to your savings and debt repayment. So what I'm going to do here, and you don't have to do this, but what I'm going to do just to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on, I want to go up here to the top in Excel. There's a little button that says View. You can click on that. I'm going to click on something else that says New Window. That opens up a separate window for this Excel spreadsheet. It's just kind of a mirrored image of it. And I'm just going to put that down here. And I need to change the... Let's see here. Scroll down. I need to change the view here so it fits. Okay. This is definitely wrong. Let's do 75%. There we go. Now at least they match up and look a lot better. Okay. Sorry about all that. But if you wanted to do that, that's great, but you don't have to again if you don't want to. Down to the bottom. Okay. So now you'll see that, okay, again, we've got those months where there's something that needs to be done. We don't have enough income in that month to pay for all of our expenses. So let's go through and let's find out what the big problem is here. So let's look at these big months first. We've got some big problems in July and August. So what could that possibly be? Well, you can see here it's that summer sports camp. Don't have enough income in July to pay for that full summer sports camp. So we got to break it up. So take this $2,000 and break it up. Maybe in March you save $1,000 for it. And then, so that's going to change that number here to 1,000. Does that fix anything? Does that fix everything? No, it doesn't fix everything. So then maybe you say, all right, well, what if I did, I still got quite a bit of extra income down here for this month. Maybe I do 1,500 here, and then I do, 500 here. Does that work? Yeah, so that works. And now you've got some extra money then in that month. That kind of solved that 1 month then. So now let's go here to August. We've got another negative number. What's going on in August? What's the big thing that seems to be the problem here? Let's take a look. Nothing up there. Nothing. Oh, it's the vacation. So there's not enough income in August to go on vacation and pay for it all at once. So you go ahead then and you say, well, how can I start saving for this to make sure I have that full $2,000 in that month when I need it? All right, well, you go back up to March. Man, you still got $1,500 available here. What if you saved $1,000 of that then for the vacation? So you're already saving a little bit in March for that summer camp, but now you're saving another $1,000 as well for the vacation. Let's go back here, enter in 1,000, because we're totaling 2,000. Still got a problem though. It's still negative in that month. All right, well, what if you did, you still got $500 there, or let's say you've got some other money here. You've got extra money down here. What if you did 200 here, 200 here. So now we're at 1,400 total, and that would be 600 here. Still pretty close. That's it's positive, but not by much. I would be a little scared of that actually. So what if we did, we got $300 or $600 extra in this month? What if we did 300 here? And then did the other 300 here. So you can see that we're now back up to our total of 2,000, and now we're in the positive with a good amount of comfort there. All right, now we've got May and November. What's going on in May and November that's a little crazy? I think I know what it is. It's probably the car insurance. Yep, car insurance May, $665, in November is $665. You don't have enough income to be able to handle it there. So you can see here for this, at least with this one in November, you've got a lot of surplus here in September. So maybe you go in and you say, well, you know what? I'm just going to save the full amount for that car insurance premium in September. You set it aside, and then when the bills are due in November, you've got the money, you pay for it. We're down positive here for all this stuff again, which is great. All right, now we still got May to deal with. Okay, well, what if we did, you got a couple months here with a little bit of extra surplus. What if you did, like 250 here, 250 here, and then the remaining balance, which would be 165, right? Yeah, 665. Yep. Okay, so then, all right, now we're positive again. Now we've got all these positive numbers. And if you remember correctly, the total amount was originally $4,959. It's still exactly the same, but you've shifted around some of the funds and are saving them in different areas to hop off that roller coaster. Are you going to have as much on a monthly basis to pay down on debt? Not necessarily. You're not going to have those huge months like you had before, but you have some smaller months and you have some consistency now. And again, the end result is exactly the same, but you are now saving appropriately for some of these bigger expenses that you couldn't before. You had to use savings, you had to use your emergency fund, or you had to utilize debt to kind of get you through. It's just a great way to definitely look at the next 12 months and plan ahead and not have to worry about, man, we don't have enough money. You should have saved for it more than likely several months in advance. So definitely go back and enter in that information. And good luck to you, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.